Greetings, my people. Greetings, my people. Greetings, my people. And others. Today is Saturday, August 15th, 2026. The time is 10:27 a.m. And as you can see by my title, I titled this one, Is He Broke or Broken? What's the difference? Is he broke or broken? What's the difference? And this topic comes off of a video a friend of mine shared with me and wanted to know my opinion and insight on this. And it's a brother, it's a male, and he's giving insight to ladies on why not to date broke men financially, right? And I can see a lot of things, and if you can't see perspective and nuance in the audio that I'm gonna play, Fair Use Act, this might not be a live for you. Um, because I feel like we're moving so far away from understanding each other, right? And I feel like we move so much in the physical. Like everything is so physical, everything is so literal, everything is just so right now that we don't understand how layered what we're going through is, right? And I'm gonna play the audio. I'm gonna play the audio, and we're gonna break it down. And like I said, Fair Use Act. I don't know who this brother is, but listen to what he's saying.
Telling you this right now, woman. If you are a beautiful woman, never date a broke man. If you are a financially stable woman, never date a broke man. If you are a successful woman, definitely never date a broke man.
Okay, so let's start over. Let's start over with the layout.
Broke man. I'm telling you this right now, take care of you. You can be a broke child. Never date a broke man. I'm telling you this right now, women. If you are a beautiful woman, never date a broke man. If you are a financially stable woman, never date a broke man. If you are a successful woman, definitely.
So he only started out with, again, he only started out with physical things. Right? He only starts out with physical things. But let's keep going.
Date a broke man. And the reason why is not that they're bad people, but you got to understand this. When a man is not getting respect in society, he will try to extract that respect at home. And the reality is this: when a man is broke, he definitely is not getting respect in society. You can be a broke woman and society will take care of you. You can be a broke child and society will come to your rescue. But when you are a broke man, nobody has empathy for you. In fact, you
Now that I agree with. That I agree with. When you're not financially stable, like he's doing it. In his unpacking and his breakdown, he's doing exactly what he's saying. And he's not directly trying, but he's devaluing a man if he doesn't have money. And he's giving reasons why this man shouldn't have value. But this is not what he's trying to directly do.
It's horrible when you walk out the door. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just telling you what the reality is. And so when you choose to be with a man who is financially struggling and dealing with the societal consequences of being a broke man, you are choosing to sign up to be with a man who's going to take out his insecurities on you. He's going to try to make you feel insufficient. He's going to try to make you feel like you are subservient to him. He's going to try to do things to make himself feel superior compared to you, because subconsciously your relationship with him is the only domain where he can feel superior. Why do you think that when you're with a man who's struggling financially, half the time those are the men who will treat you worse?
Now I want to pause it right there. I want to pause it right there and speak on that one, because when I was ultimately listening to this and reacting to this originally, when he was going into that saying that a broke man will try to control you, a broke man, and this is not saying this is not true. But my pushback on this is because they're doing word association. And they're blindsiding these ladies to make you think that once you have a man with money, you have a top tier man. We're forgetting all about mental security. mental stability, mental health. And the first thing I thought of when he was unpacking that, the first thing I thought about was Diddy. The first thing I thought about was Diddy beating the hell out of Cassie. Right? That was the first thing I thought about, how a lot of these women who have dealt with rich men, wealthy men, said how controlling he was. Hell, we're looking at number 47 in the Oval Office. He treats women terrible. Right? So the problem with this is not what he's saying per se, it's how he's blanketing these things into this. But let's continue.
Who don't call you back the quickest. Those are the men who often play the most games. Those are the men who seem to act like they're the prize. You're like, hold on, my brother. You don't have two nickels to rub together. Why are you treating me like this? It's because subconsciously he is using your desire for him and your vulnerability to want to be with him. He's using that in his favor to extract from you a sense of power, to boost his ego, to make him feel something that society doesn't give him, which is...
And this is so subjective. All of that part, what he just unpacked, is so subjective because men with money are the ones that feel like they're the prizes. Men that are a certain aesthetic are the ones that run around and say they're the prizes. Wasn't it Kevin Samuels that started and had dudes run around saying that they were high value men? Like, all of this is subjective. And I just want to play this before I really get into my session.
Respect and being desired. He's using the fact that you desire him to prop up his broken self-esteem, because every time he walks out the door, society reminds him that he's not enough of a man because he can't even stabilize himself financially. I'm not telling you the rules are right, and I'm not telling you that they're fair, but what I am telling you is that this is the game that we live in. And so if you are a woman...
And then here's my thing. Who controls the game that we live in?
And you want to be with a man who will treat you with dignity, respect, and will treat you as if you are the queen that you are, you cannot be with a man who's broke. He don't have to be rich, but he needs to be financially stable enough that when he walks out the door, he's treated with respect by society. Because if society doesn't treat him with respect, he's going to try to get that respect out of you, and it will often come through very harmful treatment towards you. Never date a broke.
Now let's kick the ballistics on that. Okay, so we all heard what the brother laid down, and to me, no dig at him, but it really kind of gives like girlfriend, gay best friend energy, right? I mean, because a lot of this, it's some grains of truth sprinkled in that, but what we must understand is how, especially if you are black, that was a black male. Especially if you are a black male. I'm going to say it one more time. Especially if you are a black male. How society treats you as a black male. Right? Now let's kick the ballistics of men that are stable. And like you said, they don't have to be rich, just stable. Right? The first thing I would always say, is he mentally stable? Notice he never touched on the male's mindset, mental health, how he is with children, how he communicates. All of that is null and void. All of that is thrown out the window. And that's why the dating pool has such piss in it, right? Because you have gurus or advice givers like this that make you think that your problems are over if he just have money. Do you know how many women I've come across with dudes that were financially stable, or dudes that were breadwinner that are just fucking terrorists to be with, or were to be with? And they ended up getting away from the guys because he just didn't know how to talk to her. He just knew how to provide. Funny how servitude, especially when you're a black man, it only makes you see your worth, your labor. Like this little poop stain in the comments. make a derogatory workers comment toward me as if I'm supposed to serve you. Because if you don't prepare a male to understand society, especially if he's black, you know the toll that that would take on a man. Tupac had a song called "White Man's World" on his Machiavelli album. One of my favorite songs, favorite albums, by the way, too. And we don't understand because I think we're trying to assimilate and think that the more money we have, and in no way am I saying don't get your paper. That's not what I am definitely not saying that. But your paper doesn't save your mental state. Most guys that have money feel like they don't have to worry about that nothing. This is why, in my opinion, whose opinion? This is why, in my opinion, when I see all of these when I would see all of these reality shows, and I begin to see these celebrity males in these reality shows, and I was like, dude is really kind of corny. Dude is really kind of corny outside of that. Like dudes like Jim Jones. Corny. A lot of these dudes that you see on celebrities or dudes that have some type of status, they're corny. Because in my opinion, a lot of times if they have money, they're always trying to compensate or overcompensate for their masculinity. This is why when I looked at a clip of Mano and Jim Jones is always the one that just has to be the one that says, F women. No, these 3 old folks can't. And that nobody's looking at his emotional state. Nobody's looking at that he has broken pieces within inside of him. I listened to that dude say his mother taught him how to tongue kiss. Right? And I think because this new wave of provider, I remember at one point I got so tired of that word. I got so tired of, I want a provider. I want a man that's a provider, not the woman that desires that. But that became the battle. That became the thing for everything. I want a man that's a provider. A provider. I want the soft life. And there's a channel on here that I watch called Divestors. And these women that get these white males with money, or these white boys with money, and they're always trying to project upon you that they're living this type of rich lifestyle or they're living this soft lifestyle, but internally they're in hell. Because if you don't have a man, in my opinion, whose opinion? If you don't have a man that's secure with his masculinity, that is going to be a problem. How he emotionally expresses himself, how he emotionally shows love, gratitude, all of these things towards you, how he is towards your children, how he is towards his children. Notice the brother didn't say anything about the type of father, because he blanketed the man that didn't have money with all of these terrible emotions. Broken men come in many different forms. Broken men are rich. Broken men are in the middle. Broken men are poor. That's because he hasn't done his shadow work. He hasn't done his shadow work within himself. Right? I talked to a lot of brothers. I was hosting a friend's live the other night for her, and it's a dope blind date show, and I think it's gonna be with more support. It's gonna be amazing, right? And she asked me what I fill in for her because she couldn't make it, she couldn't fill in, right? And I began to talk to a brother that was on the live, and he began to open up to me and talk to me, right? And he said, I got on the topic of communication. How did we learn how to communicate as men? I'm not talking about as people. I'm talking about as men. How did we learn how to communicate? And I said, well, as for me, I learned how I didn't have men that actually showed me how to openly communicate well. Right? They were too busy working, they were too busy providing. Right? So I saw men go to work. I saw men go to work. I saw men pay bills. I saw men provide in households, right? But what I didn't see was them nurturing. And because I think that we, in our word association, we think like words like nurturing for men makes you weak. Let me tell you something. To me, that's how you know you're not there in your masculinity. When you think words like communication, understanding, when you think words like that are weak, you're not there yet. If you think the word communication makes you weak, understanding, you're not there yet. Because I think a lot of times what society has done to us, they've given us these false images of masculinity. And they walk around and they stick their chest out. That's not masculinity. Masculinity, in my opinion, is encompassing it all. Understanding who you are. Right? So the brother said, so we were talking about communication. And the brother opened up to me. He said, yo, I never really learned how to communicate, and it cost me my family. I said, wow. I said, well, brother, if you don't mind, could you go more into detail? And he said it cost him his family. He lost out. Now, dig what he said. He said he lost out basically chasing money too much. Not being more open, not being more expressive. He lost his family trying to be what they're telling you to be. Just go out and just get money. Get your money. Get your money, fellas. Yes, be financially stable for yourself. Let's get that understood. Be financially stable, but be mentally stable. Also be emotionally stable. Everybody's missing that part of the homework. Everybody's missing that part of the homework. One more time for the people in the back. Everybody's missing that part of the homework. Be emotionally and mentally stable, especially if you have young children. Because if you have young boys and you are an older man, you're teaching them how to express themselves. So if you're just teaching a young boy just to get money, get money, get money, get money, get money. I ain't got time, I'm too busy. Get money, get money, get money. That's all you teaching him his worth. You're not creating well-rounded. If you're teaching a young man to process everything through the physical, you're ill-equipping them. I'm not going to say you're failing them, but you're ill-equipping them. But we have these topics, and this is why the black community, in my opinion, can't get it together. Because we don't know how to recognize character. We don't know how to recognize people. We don't, it's like I'll say it in sports terms. We don't know how to evaluate talent. We don't know how to recognize talent. Because we're looking for the person to be one-dimensional and do one thing. It's like in today's game trying to hold the quarterback just to the pocket, just limit him, just say, stay in the pocket, stay in the pocket, stay in the pocket, stay in the pocket. And these linemen are faster. These linebackers are faster. These front linemen are faster. So you have to move around and pivot and be able to do it in many ways. So you're providing for her. You're financially providing. You're doing your damn thing, big dog. But if she has to go outside of you to express how she feels, you're doing a disservice. You're failing. If she can't come to you and really speak to you openly, if you're emotionally numb, not there, or just a ticking time bomb, but you got money, you're giving her things. And that's all it is. So what happens if you're no longer able to physically provide? Right? And to me, it also is setting the males up. It's also setting the men up, because it's only telling them this is what they're worth. That's not saying don't go out and do what you got to do for you. We've already established that. But men, especially the black men, you're worth more than just labor, just going to get money. Are you able to process information properly and healthy and wholly? Are you able to hold a conversation about something more than just something superficial or physical? Are you able to talk her off a ledge when she's out there? Do you know how to comfort her? These are things also if you're raising a little girl. If you're raising a little girl, you have to be able to give them, you have to be able to show them. You can't just tell them what to look out for with men and they could possibly see you being the opposite. Because children are so bright. Children are so amazing and smart. Children are not stupid at all. They're able to pick up when you're being disingenuous. They're able to pick up when you're being hypocritical. They may not say nothing because they're children and they understand adult and children relationships or the dynamic. But please believe they understand that, well, you said this, but you're doing this. You said find a man that treats me like a lady, but that's not what you're treating mom like. That's not what you're treating my big sister like. That's not what you're treating the lady at the store like that you were talking to. Nobody's telling men how to learn how to process information in their emotional state. There's also another channel on here that I watch called Twisted Crimes. And that channel right there is, to me, in my opinion, the living embodiment of what I'm talking about. About how I watch males, black males predominantly, crash out. The women were successful. Yeah, a lot of them were broke. But in this case, a lot of them had money too. Because somewhere down the line, nobody taught these brothers how to deal with their emotions, how to regulate their emotions. Be careful with getting with broken men. A man that still has resentment for his mother. A man that can't get through a conversation without calling a woman a broad, a bitch, these hoes. We understand these archetypes exist. But women exist. Understand a man's emotional state. You get what I'm saying? Be careful, examine these dudes. I want to say people, but this is not a people live because this is what the topic's saying. Is he broke or broken? So when he was saying this, when the dude in the audio that I was playing, when he was saying all this, did it ring in my head? I don't know what's going on with the Marcellus Wiley thing. I see, like, I guess the judge threw it out. But to me, where there's constant accusations and allegations, it's something to it. Allegedly. Like, I'm looking at these dudes that are these well-to-do dudes, right? And if you have a dude that's leading you to a Trump rally, that's not safety. Like, it's so much. I could go on about teaching lessons on this or teaching perspectives. Like, they just talk about money, but they talk about they lack or forget to mention so many parts of male identity that we need. Be a serious man. Yes, be serious. But also be fun. Your castle or your kingdom should be fun. It should be serious and you should protect it. But your castle, in my opinion, shouldn't be a war zone. Right? We have to learn how to regulate ourselves, regulate our emotional states. Everything can't be solved in the physical. Everything can't be solved with getting brolic. Healthy men don't control. Leadership doesn't mean control. Donald Trump. Leadership doesn't mean control. Donald Trump. Leadership means understanding. Leadership means sound decision making. Problem solving. Being able to hear multi sides and render a clear judgment with wisdom. Not with emotion. These hoes. Corey Holcomb got money. Corey Holcomb got money. Look at his emotional state. Look at his mental state. Corey Holcomb is what, 50, almost 60-ish, give or take, somewhere around there. Look at his mental state. He has not grown anywhere mentally since me watching him as a kid or a teenager doing comedy. But he has money. This is what I mean. This is the meat and potatoes of what I'm saying. Stop just telling these women to not date broke men and making them think because they got men with money that they're going to be safe. A broken, controlling man, if he's rich, he's going to use his money. You can't even get away because he has so much money and he can control things around you. Make sure they're mentally stable. And he said, and then the dude in the audio that I played, he said, I'm not saying it's right, but this is what society is. Well, whose society is it? Whose game is it? Then we have to get into the systemic racism. And then once we get into that, then watch how the beat changes. They say, well, all people do things too. Well, you got to look at the black people there. Now you want to say all. Now you want to examine everybody. But when we're talking to the dynamics, you only want to, we have to understand mental. I always used to say, because therapy saved my life. I'm not even going to hold you. Therapy saved my life. And this is what I was talking about with the brother on the live that I was telling you about the other night. Therapy actually saved my life. And therapy saved my life because it made me examine parts of myself that I knew were there. But a lot of times when you're analyzing yourself, you're gonna find ways to be like, oh, well, I know that exists, but and to me, if you have, I had a black woman that was a therapist. I've had a few, but I had this one black woman that was as my therapist, and she was amazing. She was amazing, and the things that she would do in her sessions, when we would arrive at a moment, right? We would arrive at a moment, or I would arrive at a moment of clarity, or yeah, I'm gonna say a moment of clarity, and I would just have to just, she'd be like, just listen to that, sit and listen to what you said. And for me, it wasn't until I said the thing out loud and I heard myself say it that it hit home. I heard the insecurity that I said. I heard the abandonment that I said. I heard the trauma trigger that I said. I knew it exists, but she poured it out of me. And so I'm also saying that you have to get a healthy black man that doesn't see the woman as up. Like I said, we know bitches, hoes, broads. We know all of these archetypical names, just like NIGGA. We know all of these archetypes exist. But we have to know healthy versions of those archetypes also exist. Right? And it wasn't until this black woman pulled this out of me that she helped me a lot in ways that she knows because I told her. But in ways, I'm going to say it for the sake of the conversation, in ways that she will never know. A black woman did that for me. Right? So if we have these black males, let's just talk about the middle, not even wealthy celebrities, just everyday guys. Because like I just said, when we're talking about the whole systemic thing, then we have to talk about this system. And we have to talk about racism and white supremacy, right? And we have to talk about how this system controls the outlook. And we have these dudes up here that they suck up to white women. Right? And they feel that white women are so much more superior, and they're so much more efficient, and they're so much more emotionally sound than black women. You obviously have never read history. But that's a missing component from him. Back to what I'm talking about. That's a missing component. So nobody's perfect, but we're all growing. But I think we put too much on this. Yes, be financially stable. But before I land my plane, just because he's financially stable doesn't mean he's healthy and good for you. Is he mentally stable? Is he emotionally stable? Those are the other sides of the scale. Peace.